Hi everybody, it's Annette from the Art of Intuition. Today we're going to talk about dissecting the harsh realities. Now we're going to go over a couple challenging human realities and how we can shift our perception on what's really going on, because it's never going to be that one thing the human's going to see. So these are going to be some harsher ones. I'll repeat that word again, more challenging ones for the human, because they bring up a lot of fear, a lot of anger. They activate fear, anger, blame, shame, guilt, all of those range of emotions, which is one of the reasons they play out. First thing we're going to talk about is cancer, a diagnosis of cancer, a human diagnosis of cancer. This reality affects everyone normally on some level. You've known someone who's gone through it. You've known someone, you've gone through it yourself. You usually are not separated from this one. This is a big one. It encompasses a lot of collectives. Now, if you look at it from a higher level of consciousness, you can see that it's clearing off distorted cells, but it's not the way the human perceives as distorted. It's all human cells. That's why the treatments are more galactic rememberings, and the treatments hit all the cells. Even what a human reality would deem as a healthy cell and a not healthy cell, because all of our human DNA is tainted in a sense. It's not our highest aspect DNA. So some people will pick these timelines, and it is important to say we pick these timelines to play out. Some people pick this timeline. Now, that does not mean when people are going through these timelines, we don't feel a compassion for the people going through them. And that can get lost sometimes when we talk about these things. It's really just to shift your perception on how to view it from a different lens. Look at the many reasons it's happening, not just the one, because it's never going to be one. I'm going to list off a few, and you can probably come up with another 100 if you sat there long enough, or a zillion, why you had to be there, why it had to be this reality. Cancer treatment is a huge, quick way to kill off mass amounts of human DNA. That is why it causes a lot of people to get ill, because all that programming, human programming, is clearing the body. A lot of self-worth in the vomiting, all the other things that go on. It puts the body through a massive clearing, because all of those distorted programs get released at once, and it has to exit the body. It is a quick way to get rid of a lot of human DNA so your galactic DNA can come online. That's another reason why people will lose their hair in a lot of those treatments. They start to look more like their galactic DNA, their galactic aspects. So you can see how this would be a jumping off point for a lot of people to higher levels of consciousness, because they've lost a lot of the human DNA. That when you're going to achieve higher levels of consciousness, your human DNA starts to morph. It can be a longer process when it happens like that. It morphs more organically. That's just a different way to go through the reality a little bit faster, but it can be more jarring. And most people going through that don't realize that's one of the reasons. But there's still a zillion other reasons why they're there. So it's important to remember, I'm going to reiterate it again, when we talk about these things, we're talking about shifting your perception of what you see. We still have to have compassion for the people in the reality. Even if we might not agree with the story they have around the reality, it is how they feel. They're trying to clear emotions by going that way. Now you see this reality play out differently for a lot of people, and it really doesn't seem to matter which way they choose, whether they choose this treatment, no treatment, homeopathic treatment. It's going to depend on what they chose, because we also choose how long we're going to be here, how long we're going to play out these realities. Everything we do is a choice, even the harsher ones. You see realities where children have a very harsh human diagnosis. And I always say human diagnosis because that's a human word. Everything is really just distorted energy. Human likes a diagnosis. Human wants a cure for it. You see so many things happening, and the human just wants it to be cured. I just want it to be cured. I just want this to happen. Because they don't want to have to deal with the ultimate harshest reality, which to them is death. That is a really harsh one for all the human ego, all the human realities, because the human doesn't want to die. It's really just the death of the human DNA. Now, you will see a lot of people will go through sometimes the cancer diagnosis a few times. If you keep subjecting your consciousness to the same third dimensional human consciousness, you're going to just recreate more human DNA, and then you choose if you want to do it again, or you choose if you don't want to do it again. There are other ways to clear human DNA. That's just one of the reasons that reality is there. Children getting ill. I don't know if I touched on that one. I think I did. That's a big one. Why does it have to be kids? Why does it have to be animals? When you see animal abuse, why does these things have to happen? Because they're harsh. The human needs harsh to open them up. Because if they don't have something harsh, they don't seem to care. And that sounds harsh when I say it, but I think you'll know what I'm talking about. We've gotten so desensitized, I have trouble saying that word, to certain things that we need the harsher thing. One person dying doesn't bother us. 400 people, now I feel bad. Mass shootings, that brings up a lot of, it opens people up. It bursts a lot of anger. It brings up anger. It brings up sadness. Activates all these things. Sometimes we need the bigger things. They don't have to happen that way, but the human needs the harsher realities. That's why they occur. We control everything that occurs in our reality. These things happen for the collectives. And there are a lot of people that are hooked up to these collectives because that's what they need to get their heart open. I think I've told this story before, but I worked at a place where someone died. It was a young person that died. And it didn't seem to really impact a lot of people. But like 4 or 5 days later, there was a big shooting in, I think it was a nightclub or something. I can't remember. This was many years ago. And everyone was so upset about the mass shooting occurring of people they didn't know. And they were saying it really brought up so much, emotion for them, and not to downplay that emotion or that sadness that got triggered or that anger that got triggered. But someone had just died 10 feet from them and they really had no emotion whatsoever. So a lot of these things occur the way they do because it gets the attention of the human aspect. It causes a lot of emotions to get released. That is why the people do them. That's why there's really no victim in the reality, and there's no one who was the perpetrator. The human always wants to assign the roles. That person did that to this person. That person's a bad person because they did that. It was all agreed to ahead of time. They play out these, sometimes what a human would say is the most notorious, atrocious realities. Despicable is even a word you'll hear people use, because it's what gets the attention of the other humans. All the people who played out those really harsh realities are they're doing a service to humanity. They're pushing humanity forward because they're helping us clear. And it takes the bigger things. If our human aspect, if we could get in touch with our emotions enough, not even touch with your emotions, that's not really what I say. If we can raise our consciousness enough to clear our emotions, know when they're there, clear the emotions, come from our higher aspect all the time, treat everyone with the same level of compassion and love, never have agendas when we do anything. None of these things have to occur. As collectives, we trigger them. They're markers for us. 9/11, a marker. It's a marker to push everybody forward. All the hate, all the anger that comes up, all the unity that comes up. Gets people to understand how to unite around something. But the human needs a big thing. It needs a big thing to get their attention. That's why these human realities play out this way. So that's a little bit of a Debbie Downer one, but I felt like it needed to be said. And you can take a lot of these realities, twist them, dissect them, and look at all the different reasons you were a part of them in some way, how you got triggered by them, what else would have done it the same way, and keep practicing the art of intuition.